Well, all right. What's happening? I think we are finally live. I apologize for my tardiness, guys. Technology, man. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Technology. But welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic. And we got quite a few things to go over here today, man. Nothing groundbreaking or earth-shattering, but a few things to talk about. And give me just a second, guys. One second. All right, there we go. I didn't want you guys to hear the double audio there. So, yeah. Welcome, guys. Like I said, I had some technical difficulties, man. YouTube sometimes, and even when you try to be ahead of YouTube, right? Try to be ahead of YouTube, meaning that, I signed on early and everything, and it still gave me some issues. It's funny, man, because I saw 803, Jason Winningham, I believe, he was already in the, on the queue. So he must already knew the number. He was already in the blog talk queue, so I kind of spoke to him really quick to let him know I was about to start, and then I had another technical difficulty with YouTube. I tell you, man. But I apologize for that, even though it wasn't my fault. I'm still going to apologize to you guys, the viewers. You expect me to be here at 7:30 or at least a few minutes or so after that. So my apologies, but welcome. Welcome to the latest episode, man. And, we got a few things to talk about tonight. Before we do that, let me give my shout-outs. Got to say hello to D2. Nays in the building. What's up, Nays? Ain't seen Nays in a while. Patrick Covington, Zachary Eckerd, Mr. Abs. Hello, Miss Lanisha. How you doing? Jay Vega, Mr. Winters, Lance and Shield. Nay says DJ going to be wide receiver too. Okay, yeah, I know y'all gonna laugh at me, man, about this this title. Y'all know I gotta pick with y'all a little bit. What's up, Kenyon? Hold on, guys, man. See, I'm all over the place tonight, man. I forgot to even grab the link and send it to Leonard, guys like that, my cousin Floyd. So all over the place tonight, man. But, I've been doing a lot better with that. So I'm sure you guys won't mind. Just bear with me for 2 seconds, man. You guys can chit-chat amongst yourselves. How's everybody doing, man? That's the first thing I would like to know. How's everybody doing? Fortunately, we're going to have to talk about COVID-19 here tonight, man. It makes me wonder if we're even going to have a season. You know what I mean? So we're going to get into it. Give me a second, man. Let me shoot this to Leonard. And like I said, man, I've been doing a good job of sending this stuff out before the show so you guys don't have to see it. But yeah, technical difficulties with YouTube kind of slowed me up tonight, man. But I do apologize either way. All right, here we go. So I'm ready to rock. As you might see in the comments, man, the description, I just put various topics. I didn't even hone in on anything because it's not a lot of meat to talk about. I didn't have like one specific area I wanted to address. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. A couple things just bounce around, from the Ryan Switzer tweet and, a couple other things. I guess we'll start with this. Alex Highsmith as well as Anthony McFarland have signed their rookie deals, so that's always a good sign. Guys are not waiting a very, very long time, with the negotiation process, so that's cool. And I point out those two guys because I would say these two guys are more than likely going to be contributors in some way, shape, or form, if we are to have a season. The other guy that you would expect to be a contributor, in this first year would be Chase Claypool. So we'll see. I don't believe Chase has already signed his contract. I could be wrong on that, but I don't believe he's signed his contract as of yet. You guys can correct me definitely in the in the chat there. And what's going on, Jason? How you doing, man? I know you probably heard me. I spoke to you briefly when I saw you in Blog Talk before we started the show. So I apologize, man, that it took me a little longer than the 2 minutes I expected to get going. Had some situations with YouTube there, but I appreciate you checking in either way. But yeah, guys, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, man, in regards to Chase Claypool. I don't think he signed his contract as of yet. If he did, great. But if not, it's coming. It's coming. And, he's the premier signee, being the second round pick, essentially our first pick in the draft. He's going to make the most money for the most part. So not a huge disappointment or, a huge surprise that he hasn't signed yet. It's just business. But like I said, it's good to see that guys like Highsmith, as well as guys, like McFarland have already signed because they're going to be contributors. And yeah, there you have it. And I see you guys already talking about no rack. Yeah, I'm going to get into that, man. I had to make it funny, guys. I had to make it funny in the title, just to make us laugh and discuss some things. But we'll talk about no rack here in a moment. Let's see what else we want to talk about really quick. What else is going on? Worthy news. Kenyon actually sent a couple things to me that I was going to address. One thing he just sent to me, I'll get to in a second. But the first thing that Kenyon pointed out to me, man, and this is kind of a blow. It's kind of a blow right here, man. It said through Tuesday. And I don't know, and Kenyon, maybe you can correct me on this. I don't know when the initial testing started, but it says through Tuesday, through today, 95 players, as it says here. Let me find the actual article. Let me go to it, and I'll read you guys a little piece of that. Excuse me. Well, basically, we look at Ian Rappaport's tweet. From the NFLPA's website, 95 players across the league have tested positive for coronavirus, and 8 teams have approved IDER plans with 24 under review. I'm not 100% sure what that IDER plan is, but I think it has something to do with the percentage of people that can test positive or something like that. I could be wrong there. I'm spitballing, but I did hear that term earlier, and I know I also heard that in conjunction with teams have to be at a certain level as far as positive tests in order for them to continue with, training camp or whatever. And if they exceed that amount, then some things will have to change. But I think that's what that IDER is referencing. I guess it's the Individual Infectious Disease Emergency Response Plan. So as it says here, the NFLPA is reviewing the IDER plans for each franchise. Of course, 32 plans received. The union has approved just 8. The remaining 24 are under consideration. So what I just said there, I was a little off with that. I guess there's some type of, plan that they have to have in place. And, basically everyone has to agree with how each team is going to proceed and function, throughout the pandemic or what have you. But I do know this could be part of it. I did hear that each team, it will have to be like a certain amount. Like, let's just say hypothetically, I'm just spitballing here, throwing out a number. Each team could have no more than 4 positive tests or what have you. Anything beyond that, then they have to, make some adjustments. And again, I don't know the number. I just know I heard something like that. So I'm assuming the IDER, that's what they're proposing within that plan as well. So either way you look at it, man, either way you slice it, it's just making me wonder if we're going to have a season at all, man. It really is. It's really making me wonder if we're going to have a season at all. I'm a little concerned about that because, again, it's really going to come down to what happens this week with baseball launching again. I think they're kicking off. I want to say this week. I know the NBA is set to go on the 30th. And, I think it's going to come down to that. I think the NFL is going to be able to have somewhat of the comfort of being able to sit back and watch what other sports are doing, as well as they'll have the training camp period to adjust. They'll look and see what's going on during training camp and to be able to decide, are we keeping things in the wraps? I know as of yesterday, I haven't looked today, but as of yesterday, the NBA didn't post, any new coronavirus cases at all. So it shows that the bubble situation that they're doing may be working perhaps. Still a little early to determine fully. But, I think training camp is going to give the NFL the opportunity to see how well can they contain, any infections or anyone contracting the virus for, if they come in contact with anybody else on the team or organization that may has it. So it just concerns me, man. Listen, like I said, I want football very, very bad, but you know what I mean? What's right is what's right, so we got to go with that. In connection to that, here's another thing that Kenyon sent to me just a few moments ago, and I had already heard about this being a possibility, report states that the NFLPA agrees to no preseason games and an 80-man training camp roster. Got to give kudos and shout-outs, man, to Steelers Depot. Got to do that because Steelers Depot, a lot of times, they are right on it with their information in terms of what they expect could happen or reporting on things that have happened. Listening to the Terrible Podcast today, I heard them say that. Both Alex and Dave Bryant were both saying, that's being tossed around about the 80-man roster instead of having the full 90-man, because obviously if you're not going to have preseason games, you reduce the roster because a lot of those guys on the back end, we all know, guy 81 through 90 doesn't really have an opportunity to make the team at that point because they rarely even get a chance to play. So it makes sense to go ahead and shorten up the roster. But I've got to say, man, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that we're not going to have a preseason only because I want to see these guys in action, man. Some of those guys who are fighting and scrapping for an opportunity. It's really now going to come down to practice. As I channel my inner Allen Iverson, practice? We're talking about practice? It's going to come down to practice in training camp. Now, to me, there are some pros and cons to that. The pros would be if you're a guy that's showing up in practice, right? You're looking good in practice, and that's your only opportunity. That's your only evaluation that the team has of you, and you lighten it up, might earn you a spot. But the cons are, for us fans and the coaches, you're not able to see this guy against other competition, like real competition in a live setting, not just playing the game, but being in the environment, being in the environment where the lights are on and things are on the line. You're being evaluated and the game is being broadcast on TV and things of that nature, right? You don't get to see how they react in that setting. You don't get to see how they react to a team that's not yours, that runs a different scheme and different personnel, and that's the tough part. Here's another reason why it's a con for us fans as well. It's going to allow some of these guys who are higher up on the depth chart and who have been there a better chance and opportunity to make the team. So when you start thinking about guys like Trajan Bandy, which that's a guy I want to keep my eye on. The little corner out of Miami. He might have a better chance than some other guys because we're thin at cornerback when you get past Joe Hayden and you get past Steven Nelson. The next man up is Justin Lane. And then, of course, you got Mike Hilton, but he's your slot. You got Cam Sutton, but then behind those guys, you would expect the Steelers to keep 6, 5 at the minimum at corner, so a guy like Bandy might have a chance. But what about a guy like Lockhart? What about a guy like Carlos Davis, which, some of us may or may not like him as far as his chances. What about a guy like Kayvon Walker, right, that's on the fringe? They're not going to be as high on the depth chart, so it's likely that guys like that don't get a shot. You see what I'm saying? And that's tough. Speaking of the roster, maybe the Steelers already knew this was coming down the pike, and as you see, they waived Christian Scotland Williamson. So I know some of you guys were, high on him as far as, what his potential could possibly be with some training with his size and things like that. But they waived him. But then on the flip side, they signed the guy, what's his name? Dax Raymond or Raymond Dax or whatever his name is. I'm not familiar with him at all. Apparently he was an ex-Bear. Not familiar with him at all. So that kind of counters the point that I just said about the roster because they quickly made a roster move to refill that position. So I don't know what the real situation was with Christian Scotland Williamson, man, but it is what it is. It looks like his football journey is over, definitely with the Steelers. But it's just interesting. Guys, again, like this guy, Dax Raymond, or whatever his name is. Y'all tell me if I'm saying it right. Somebody tell me in the comments. Am I saying that guy's name right? Is it Raymond Dax or is it Dax Raymond? I have zero idea. Dax Raymond. Thank you, Leonard Green. I appreciate that. Salute to you. So it makes me wonder, a guy like him, is he going to have a chance at all to make the team when you already got, you got Vance McDonald, you got Ebron, and it's going to be a situation where perhaps Gentry makes it because Gentry was there last year versus this guy that might be able to show you something in a preseason game. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of pros and cons, man, with no preseason. And I get it, from a fan standpoint. I know a lot of us would probably say, man, let's just get to the regular season. But not me, especially not being someone who, quote unquote, covers the Steelers and, brings this podcast to you guys. This is my time of the year. I love training camp. I love preseason so I can see who are those guys on the roster that you may not know that will be a contributor. Who out of the draft picks will show up and show that they will be a contributor? Which one of the draft picks will be the one that we look at and say, yeah, that was a great pick because he's doing things in preseason? Wouldn't you like to see, Chase Claypool out there getting significant snaps so we can see what he might be as a Steeler receiver? See what I'm saying? Wouldn't you like to see Alex Highsmith getting some pass rush opportunities when he's the premier guy because TJ and Bud is, on the sideline because it's preseason? This is what I'm saying. Those type of things, we're getting robbed of that. And that helps somebody like me do what I do as far as delivering news or just giving you my perspective and providing this platform when I know more about the team. So now it's a guessing game because I'm assuming even in training camp, it ain't going to be like Latrobe. We already know it's not at Latrobe. It ain't going to be like that. I don't think fans going to be allowed. So, you know what I'm saying? We really got to rely on some of the beat writers who might have an opportunity, but will they? I don't know. You would assume they would still have certain reporters, right? But will a guy like Alex Kozora be able to go? And, me personally, I don't think anybody does off-season coverage and training camp coverage better than the guys at Steelers Depot. Point blank, period. I don't think there's anybody on the net that covers it the way they do, how they always come and give you those special podcasts after each practice. We ain't going to get none of that. So that's tough, but I get it. Safety first, and I'm all for that. What else did I want to cover before I get to no rack, man? I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like something I'm missing. I'm trying to remember what else I want to hit. Doing this on the fly. What else? What else is important? Shoot, man. McFarland. I want to see him, getting a plethora of opportunities and getting it, being able to touch the ball a lot in preseason, or maybe seeing this guy, return a punt or kick or two. See what I'm saying? We're going to get robbed of all of that. And speaking of no fans, this is the other thing I wanted to talk about. So New York, have already basically said that they're, at the moment, they're not doing any type of fan situation with their sports, which means week 1 against the Giants, there will be no fans in attendance. It's going to be a little crazy. It's going to be a little crazy seeing that. And honestly, another selfish reason why I wanted preseason to happen, it would have allowed us to get used to that a little bit, right? We would have been able to get used to, okay, we see how the games are with no fans, because you would assume if they were going to do preseason this season, that they would continue with it, you would assume, or one would assume, that it wouldn't have been any fans. So it would have probably given us the opportunity, just as fans, watching from the TV, to be able to kind of see how it feels and how, the flow of it and things like that. But none of that. It's basically going to be week 1 and everybody's just going to see football for the first time for this year and no crowd, and it's going to be wild, man. But hey, guys, these are, difficult times that we're living in, for multiple reasons, not just the pandemic. And I'm not going to take you guys on that journey here tonight, but so much going on in this country, man, from leadership to, unfortunate racism still lurking, to the pandemic. I mean, it's just so much. So it's kind of like, while my football mind wants it to be business as usual, my human mind realizes that it's not. So at this point, I'll take whatever they give us. 2020 is just a wash. It's going to be one of them years that we all remember. You'll be telling your grandkids about it, like, man, 2020 was a summer, SOB. So there you have it. But the last thing I'll talk about, man, and then after that, I'll open up the phones, man. No rack Switzer. Let me take a sip of my tea before I indulge in the tea. Very, very, very good tea there the wife made. Let me be fair to Switzer, man. Listen. It's just like, let me use a hip-hop analogy for you guys that might be familiar. It's just like in hip-hop, right? Especially in the real era of hip-hop, when, it was real MCs out there. Everybody thought they were the best, right? For you Lil Wayne fans, you guys would remember when he would say he was the best rapper alive. You would hear guys like Nas say he was the greatest alive. You would hear guys like Jay-Z say he was the best. It was one of those things that you're supposed to show that kind of moxie. If you don't think you're the best, what are you doing it for? It's not to slight anybody else, but that's just a thing that everybody understands, especially in music. Everybody's trying to be the best. Or they put confidence in themselves saying, look, I'm nice. I'm better than him. So I can understand Ryan Switzer, Mr. No Rack, saying that he thinks he could be one of the best slot receivers in the league. I have no problem with him saying that from a confidence standpoint. But the fact of the matter is, Ryan Switzer, if you're watching this, listen, this is not anything personal towards you, sir. Let me be the first to say, and I might even, tag you in this. And if any of you guys feel the need to do it, clip it from this point. Maybe we'll go back and look at a timestamp, but clip it from this point. We're about 22 minutes and 42 seconds in. Ryan Switzer. No disrespect to you at all. I would love it if you end up being the best wide receiver, best slot wide receiver in the league. I would love it. Because that means the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is rolling. No disrespect to you, sir, and this is not a personal attack. Hey, take this as motivation. But in no way, shape, or form do I think that you have a chance to be the best. Not even going to pronounce that right. I'm not even going to say the. I'm going to put a weird accent on it. The best. No way, shape, or form do I think you have a chance of being the best slot receiver in the NFL. Ain't happening, Captain. Not happening. Now, let me explain to you why I say that. Again, you in the NFL. I didn't make it to the NFL. So who am I to say? But, guy, from what we observe of you, let me talk about the things that I like about you first. I like your guts. I like your guts. And what I mean by that is, I've seen you, not afraid to go across the middle and, you get the tough yards when the ball is coming to you quick and you're going to get hit. Love it. Love the way you attack the game, if you will. I wanted to see a little more out of you in the return game, though, sir. I thought you had a little more shake and bake. When you first came to the Steelers, you gave us a little bit of, oh, okay, he might have something. We saw when you returned the kick when you were with the other teams, and looked like you had a little wiggle to you, but then all of a sudden it just seemed like the wiggle just faded away, right? And that's when a lot of us started saying, I don't think he's the man for the job. So then you translate that to your receiving. I don't have a problem with your hands. Like I said, I've seen you make some tough catches, and when I mean tough is when it's a 5-yard out and it's lockdown man coverage, or, it's guys playing a tight zone and you're going to get walloped as soon as you. We've seen you make those catches and convert the chains. Move the chains. We also have seen opportunities with you Because listen, I've even shown sometimes when you were wide open. During the season here on Turbo Tout Tuesday, when I do the all 22, I've even shown where you were wide open sometimes down the seam and you waving. Just didn't have the right quarterback to get you the ball. I've seen a little bit of that. But what I have not seen out of you, Mr. Switzer, is rack yards, which is the reason why a lot of us here, including myself, have coined the phrase no rack Switzer. And when you're not getting rack yardage, it's very hard for you as a slot to be one of the best in the league. Now, you did compare yourself to some of these guys that we've seen past and present. But even a guy like Edelman can get to going after he catches the ball. We don't see that from you. So that is why I believe that unless you have done some serious work in the offseason, which, again, if you have, hey, I will be the first one to come on here to say, man, who would have known that Ryan Switzer was going to have a 200-yard game? I'd be the first one to say that. But I don't believe it's going to happen. And because we rarely see rack yardage out of you, I don't think there's a chance of you being one of the top slot receivers in the NFL. Sorry as I can be. And those are just the facts. Because to be honest with you, man, on our team right now, when Juju Smith-Schuster slides into the slot, he outperforms you. Those are just the facts. Also, speaking of that, with a guy like Claypool, and with James Washington improving last year as well as Deontay Johnson, I think we're going to see a lot of situations where we're running 11 personnel. Juju is slid into the slot spot, and you're going to have Claypool at the X, Washington at Z, or Deontay Johnson at the X, Washington at the Z, Juju still in the slot. So, for the fact that I don't think you're going to get the opportunity, nor do I believe that rack yardage will happen or improve, that's the reason why I feel like it's not going to happen, sir. Also, let's not forget this. Ryan Switzer probably going to make the team, guys. So for you guys that don't want that, he's probably going to make the team for the same reasons that I outlined a little while ago. No training camp. No preseason. Only training camp. Which means that, again, what I said earlier in the show, guys who are higher up on the depth chart from familiarity, been there and done that, are going to be the guys I'm sure that the Steelers are going to lean on more in particular, positions. Receiver is one of them. Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. It's 4 guys. Where are we going after that? Who is 5 and 6? Or if the Steelers get cute and only keep 5 like they did, last year, I think. Who's the 5th one? You think Ryan Switzer ain't going to have a chance to make it now that because he knows the system? Maybe Deion Kane, because Deion Kane did have an opportunity to play with us for a little bit. But again, let's give us Kane. There's another spot. Steelers usually like to keep 6. Sounds like to me that no rack has a chance, bro. So I hate to be the one to break the news to you guys, but that's all I got on him, man. Listen, I ain't gonna beat him up like that. Again, Ryan Switzer, man, don't hate me if you see this. Don't block me on Twitter. I have nothing against you personally, man. Because I'm not even putting myself in the same category as a top beat writer or blogger. But I've seen some of you guys get upset and block. I don't know why y'all do that, man. Just take it. It's just opinions. Prove me wrong. That's what I would do. That's the kind of mentality I have. Prove me wrong. So there you have it. But anyway, guys, let's see if we have any callers. I know we have at least one. We have area code 803. So let's grab that call. I'm remembering now to unmute the browser so you guys can hear him. So hopefully that will work. So let's bring on area code 803, guys. Let me know if y'all are unable to hear him. All right, 803, what you got for us tonight? Hello, 803. Hello. 803. Can't hear anything from 803. It is a chance that the phone queue is not working. So let me go back over there. 803, which is I believe Jason Whittingham. If you can still hear me talking right now, definitely let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know, can you hear me in the phone or not? If not, we'll just have to do our workaround. You guys know what that is. Once you hear it say unmute, just start talking. I should be able to hear you. The chat will hear you. So we'll wait on that. But in the meantime, guys, I have nothing else to cover tonight, man. I told y'all I'm going to start being, quick, in and out. 30 minutes or so, and I will allow the show to be up to an hour to include phone calls. But when we ain't got nothing to talk about, we ain't got nothing to talk about. Let's go to the chat, man. Let's see what y'all got up in here. Let's start with Real Facts. Real Facts says, Kenyon, I don't see why we can't see Claypool early, even with no training camp. Let's be honest, he's going to be running 9 routes most of the time. Yeah, you know what? I think we'll see Claypool generally early, but again, we got to remember who we talk about. We're talking about Big Ben Roethlisberger. Y'all know Roethlisberger loves to go with comfort. So he's going to go with the guys that have, somewhat earned his trust, if you will. You know what I mean? Luis D says, I think having Deontay Johnson and Anthony McFarland on kickoff returns could be special. Can't disagree with that. My only thing is I haven't personally seen McFarland return kicks. Is he return kick capable? We know Deontay Johnson is, and we saw that in college. We saw him do both punts and kick returns, like what I saw out of him last year, for the most part on the punt returns. I need his ball security to be better. But we already know he's semi-proven there. Can't say the same for McFarland, but with that speed, with his hit it and go, type of run style, and yeah, maybe he could be something, but I just haven't seen him. Let's see. DMTJ 2834. Switzer was going to make the roster anyway, right? That's Big Ben's effect. He's not a bad player. It's just I'd rather see Kane make it. You know what, DMT? I'm going to agree with you there. Listen, I know we always hard on these players, man, and I hope my father-in-law, Leonard, is in here. I don't see him, but I see Leonard Green, but I don't see Leonard Langley, who is my father-in-law. We are always hard on these players, and the truth of the matter is sometimes these guys are not the worst players in the world. It's just that we're tired of seeing them not do what we expect them to do, right? So I don't think Switzer is I'm going to be honest and tell y'all. If it was up to me, would I cut him from my roster? I probably would, because I would want to see one of these other guys have an opportunity. Only because Switzer doesn't really give you much on offense. Now, he does give you those tough yards. I've seen him do that. He'll give you the quick out or the quick slant or the pivot. He'll give you that. And he's pretty secure with his hands for the most part. But, like I said, there's no rack. It's almost like, remember, and I hate to say this about, the dear beloved Heath Miller. Heath! I was a huge Heath Miller fan too. Love Big Heath. But y'all know later on in Heath's career, my man won't give you no rack, bro. That's because he was older. And, he was slower. He was more of a lumbering player then. He won't give you much. But he was going to be there for that possession. And that's what I'm saying. Switzer's a possession guy. So, he's not the worst. It's just I would rather see what some of these other guys could do. But if he makes the team, I'm not going to be terribly upset because, again, he's not going to get a lot of burn. the majority of the time we're gonna see that top four, more or less that top three. We're gonna see Juju, Johnson, and Washington more than anything else. Claypool is gonna be mixed in there. But then outside of that, when it gets to Switzer, it's gonna be, certain situations. Maybe when we go empty set. So I'm not tripping too much about that either. 803, if I missed your comment, I apologize, man. But let me know if you're able to hear me talking. Let me scroll down and catch another one of these comments. There goes Jason Winningham, but he's commenting on something else. I'll read that. He says, with Deontay Johnson starting, who would be the most likely kick returner? Well, sadly to say it, that might be another reason why we see Ryan Switzer. I'm just saying. That might be another reason why Switzer is kept on the team, folks. Reality. Unless you can get McFarland or somebody like that. And again, when it comes to that, practice might bode well. Instead of, hoping for an opportunity in the preseason game, you're going to get opportunities in practice. So that might bode well for a guy like Anthony McFarland to show what potential he could have kick returning. So it's interesting, man. It's very interesting. Andre Romero says, how do you think COVID-19 will affect trades this season? Wow. Big time. And I'll say it only because it is. I think the NFL and the owners and everybody, the teams are going to be very cautious because you just don't know how long the season goes. So it's kind of like the situation where you trade a guy and you're looking for something to happen this year, and then the season gets cut short or what have you, or gets delayed, and it just doesn't have the same effect. So I think it's going to have a big-time effect on trades, man, because I think the uncertainty of the season will have a huge impact on things like that. Good question, though, man. Why Diggy says, Switzer is good at 3-1, 3rd and 1, when they do those quick passes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. Again, let me say it one more time. 803, I saw you in the queue, but you didn't respond. I don't see you in the queue anymore, so maybe it's not working. So let me know, man, if it was working or not. Other than that, guys, I'll read a few more comments, and then we'll be out of here. Leonard Green says, has Kareth White ever returned kicks? I can't remember. Yeah. Now, that is the other guy. And we tried him out a couple times. If I remember correctly, last year. He did get an opportunity to return some kicks. And he showed a little pop. Question is he going to make the team? See, that's the question. Because now that you have McFarland, and Kareth White is pretty much a speed guy, he probably doesn't make the team as a running back. Because, again, if you expect the Steelers to keep James Conner, which they will, they're going to keep Benny Snell. They're going to keep McFarland. So most people expect that they will keep Jalen Samuels as well. So if you keep 4 backs on your 53-man, that doesn't leave a lot of room for a guy like Kareth White, unless Kareth White has practice squad eligibility, maybe. Then you can sneak him on, promote him up, bring him down, et cetera, et cetera. But it's going to be a little hard to keep him on the team, again, unless the Steelers do something like they did last year and they cut, trim the fat somewhere else. Maybe they keep 5 receivers and keep another back, or maybe they cut Jalen Samuels. But yeah, Kareth White could be a candidate. He could definitely be a candidate. Mr. ABS says, could not having open camps and preseason games even the playing field because of less scouting of team players, which helps each organization. Reed teams wanted to work out Dax, but we just signed him. Okay. Oh, you said he read that. Yes. And a team like the Steelers might have a slight advantage in terms of the camaraderie amongst veterans and the type of organization that the Steelers is. They may have the edge with that because we do have a lot of veteran players in certain areas. but I do think it will even the playing field as well. But the same could be said about those good teams. You know, I don't think the Chiefs are going to have much problem because of the type of team they have, who's their head coach, etc. You wouldn't expect Baltimore to run into too many problems. I mean, Lamar Jackson, going into year 3 now. You see what I'm saying? They got some continuity there as well. So, but I do believe it could even the playing field for those teams who needed that extra piece or that extra boost to get them where they need to be. Think about teams that might be starting a new quarterback, or teams that needed a quarterback, but now they're not going to give the reins, turn the reins over to a rookie. Things like that, it could be very interesting. But I think as a whole, it evens the playing field a little bit. But the teams that have continuity, the teams that are already good coaching, good organization, they're going to be just as fine as you would expect the Steelers to be. So, yes, it helps a little, but not as much as I think some would think. Oh, man, Pittsburgh Sportscaster, I definitely appreciate the kind words there, man. He says, I love your videos, and you're the best YouTuber ever. And I know I'm not the best YouTuber ever, but if I'm that to you, thank you, man. That means a lot. Uncle Claude's Grown Folks channel. I like that. All right, Claude. He says, Switzer is the least of the Steelers' worries. I'm still not happy with our backup quarterback group. I can't deal with Mason Rudolph, Paxton Lynch, and Duck Hodges again. All right, Claude, let me walk you off the edge just a little bit. Let me take a little sip of tea, man. Let me let it soak in. Come on back with us, Claude. Come on back, man. Get off the ledge. Let me walk you off the plank. Come on back, man. Stay a while. As I drop my headphones, I'm right there with you, buddy. I promise. I know how you feel. But let's put some positivity out there. Let's hope Ben Roethlisberger has another 16-week season, which we know we saw that stretch where he didn't. And then that last couple years, he had 2 full seasons in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And then last year, we obviously know what happened there. So I'm going to approach it with that. You still got to be cautious because one hit, you need a new quarterback. So that's why you at least need to have a number 2. But I will say this, man. You know what, Claude? I'm going to walk on the ledge with you just a little bit because something just dawned on me. And Kenya just sent me an update, guys. Hold on the COVID situation. So let's say that real quick, and I swear no, you know what? I don't want to get sidetracked because I don't want to sidetrack you guys, mine or mine, but we'll come back to the update about the COVID situation. You know what, Claude? I'm going to walk out on the ledge with you a little bit, but we ain't going to go too far. But here's what just dawned on me in real time. No preseason. When I was saying let's give Mason Rudolph a chance, y'all remember me saying, let's see how he does this preseason. Let's see if he can get things corrected. No preseason. That's not good. You can practice until you blue in the face. It ain't the same as going against another opponent. That does concern me, Claude. Claude, I'm right there with you a little bit. However, I'm going to lean on the positivity, man. You know why? It's the same thing I tell my wife all the time and my mother-in-law because, they are more the types that worry before you even need to worry. And they admire how I'm like, I don't trip until it's here. Whatever it is. When it hits, then I got time to be happy, sad, cry, whatever. So I'm going to use that same philosophy with our team. Right now, I'm going to keep my head up high, and I'm going to ride positivity and say, we got Ben back, let's go. And when Ben goes down, if he goes down, then I can have the long face and be sad, and then we'll cry about it then. So that's why I'm going to go with it. But I'm with you. I understand. Yes. Now, let me say this. And I know Kenyon going to laugh me out of this chat. My Aries brother there. Hey, man, just because Kenyon don't like him, what if Paxton Lynch show us something? I'm just saying. I hope for the best. Because at this point, I know they ain't the best group. They are not the best group of backup quarterbacks that you could have. I will give Mason Rudolph more of a pass than the rest of those dudes. One, Mason Rudolph, I think he still has potential, but I don't know if it ever will blossom. Let's be real. Paxton Lynch has been around long enough, so I can't give him the same, optimism that I could have for Mason Rudolph, because I can say, well, Mason Rudolph is still young. He got thrown into it. He played well for a while, got hurt, came back, looked bad, got pulled, came back for a duck, played well in that game, got hurt again. Like, it's so much up and down with him. He has good and he has bad. Yes, I said it. Rudolph has shown some positivity to me. I saw positives out of him. I saw some good out of him, but I also saw bad out of him. But because he's so young, I'm still willing to give him a chance. I ain't throwing him away so fast like you guys did. Now, if it turns out that he's just garbage, then great. Like I said, same philosophy. I will deal with it then. Paxton Lynch, I don't give that much of a leash because he's been here for a while. And then Duck Hodges. Listen, Duck really didn't have no business being in the position he was in anyway. Undrafted, we had cut him, then brought him back on his practice squad. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can't expect much out of that guy anyway. That ain't a disrespect to him. It just is what it is, man. He just, some guys are just not the best guys at their position. I vowed to never call dudes trash or bums because they're in the NFL. I will say it the nice way. He's just not the best at his position. And it is what it is. COVID update. So it looks like the numbers were transposed. It says 59 positive COVID-19 results among players tested through Tuesday. All right? So Phil Yates here says, as previously listed on the website, that 95 players league-wide had known positive tests. The NFLPA has updated its information saying that 59 players have had a known positive COVID test, which is, that's good. It's better. But like I said, I don't know when it started. I don't know when they started testing, but let me just read this other little blurb here. It says, on Monday, the NFL and the NFLPA announced testing for the coronavirus would occur daily for the first 2 weeks of training camp as a part of an agreement reached by the two sides. I don't have a problem with that. Man, side note, isn't that test that they keep showing the one where they take the Q-tip and, put it all the way through your back? Whew. I hope it ain't that one. I hope it's some a better one. Listen, we all grown people here, men and women, and we can deal with a little uncomfortableness and pain or whatever, but who would want to go through that every day? Ugh. I hope it ain't that one. I hope it's a different, better way of getting a saliva test or a swab or something like that. Not that Q-tip through the nose, through the back of the throat. Yikes, that looked crazy. So they say they're going to do that for the first 2 weeks. Great, every day. If the positivity rate falls below, that's what I was saying earlier. I'm glad I got some actual evidence here. If the positivity rate falls below 5% after 2 weeks, testing will move to every other day. So I think that's what they're doing team-wide as well. 5% or so, if you can stay under that or right at that, okay, business as usual. If not, then they have to take some other measures. And then it says, players must produce 2 negative tests that are separated by 72 hours before they can enter the team facilities. All right, man. So like I said, safety first, man. Safety first. But it is good to see that number got dropped to 59 rather than 95. All right, guys. So I think that's going to do it for the night, man. Let's take... we're still under an hour. Let's spend maybe another 3-4 minutes or so here and see what y'all got going on. Uncle Claude says, wanted them to sign Kaepernick last season. To me, it wasn't that far-fetched, considering we had Mike Vick, who was awful for us, to be honest. Yeah, man, Mike Vick just won't it. It was late in his career. He says, unfortunately, I know that Colin would never play in the NFL again. Yeah, man, that's, what, I got to be fair and say that's a weird proposition there. Last season, listen, whether we think our organization is top notch or, first class or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, last season, Colin Kaepernick, man, would have just been a media circus. It would have just been controversial for any team, you know. And I know in our hearts, people always want to say, man, just do the right thing. Yes, I think Colin Kaepernick should be able to play in the NFL, should have been playing. Again, we're not going to go into that on this particular show because we'll be here forever. But if you understand what the man was protesting and you understand it had zero to do with the national anthem itself, meaning, no, let me take that back. The flag itself. The flag. National anthem, yes. Part of what's stated in there is what he was protesting as far as these same justices for all and all of that kind of stuff doesn't apply to minorities. And he was protesting the injustices to minorities. That's it. Not the flag itself. So for that fact, I think he should have had an opportunity to play, but we all know how it works. We all know how the league works. It was going to be a circus, man. So I can't blame any team that didn't want to take a chance. Now, you know, ever since the unfortunate George Floyd incident, and now that the United States seems to be moving more, because we clearly see it's not all the way there, but seems to be everybody is riding the whole equal justice train. Now is an opportunity for somebody to allow Colin Kaepernick to come back, if he wants to come back, but we know how that goes. A few more, man. Jason Winningham, that's 803. He says, since we're not practicing in Latrobe this year, how do we keep our players in the bubble in Pittsburgh? Ooh, good question. Maybe they got something in place, man, because it's just a tight situation and a tough situation overall, man, because you got players that are going to be mixing with players that go back and mix with their families and kids, and tough situation, man. Y Diggy says, the results that I have seen vary. I've been following Jamal Herring, a champion boxer. Yeah, I'm familiar with him, Jamel. He says, who tested positive a couple of days before his fight, then tested negative 2 days later. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let's see. What else y'all got, man? Give me one or two more and then we'll get out of here. Oh, y'all know Nays. Oh, I love Nays. Nays usually always has a comment from the left. You know, meaning what I mean by that is a lot of times is way different from what others are thinking. He says, Cap sucks, but he should be in the league. Sucking and should not have been blackballed. He should be in the league, but here's my thing. Why does everybody say he sucks? Like, was he the best when he left? Did we see the best of him when he left? No. But I think Colin Kaepernick, the last Colin Kaepernick that we saw, is better than a lot of these dudes on NFL rosters. Yeah, like I said, it's just opinion, but y'all got to remember, at one time, Colin Kaepernick was terrorizing the league. Okay, his last season or two, he didn't look as great, but I wouldn't go as far as saying that the dude sucked. Because I know the talent that he had. You're like, I'm always willing to give people a chance. We saw when he was at the top of his game. Saw him, decrease a little bit. But I wouldn't go as far as saying the man sucks. That's just me. Yeah, he may have been trending downward. Yeah, that might be true. But like I said, if we look around the league, okay, would y'all take Colin Kaepernick over any of the backups that we currently have on our roster? Huh? Those who don't like Mason Rudolph? Huh? Can I get a witness? I'm just saying. if we can say that, then that proves my point. The dude should be playing on somebody's roster. Why do I keep dropping my headphones? Let's see. Yeah, he was declining. No doubt. What else y'all got, man? Give me two more comments, guys, and then we out. I want to read a couple comments from some people that I haven't read. One of them will be Leonard Green. I did read one of his comments, but it was short, so I'll read his and then I'll get one more. He said, how is Ben going to compensate if his elbow isn't 100%? Ben's a gunslinger, and how does he compensate without that? Man, you ain't never lied, man. You ain't never lied. And shout outs to my man Antoine Hill, man, with the donation. Appreciate that. Yeah, we got to wait and see what type of Ben Roethlisberger that we have. Speaking of which, I'm going to leave y'all with one comment after I read. I'm going to read Antoine's quick comment there because he donated. Obviously, I'm going to read that. I will read Luis's comment here. And then I'm going to give y'all guys a quick story, and then I'll get out of here. Antoine C. Hill says, I'm super late, but what's up, Sim? He says, but Sim, Ben Simmons at the 4? We ain't going to talk about basketball in here, man. We talking Steelers right now, but I'll be really brief because that's my squad. Point forward, I see him still being point forward. If you put him at 4, and that's where he's gonna be a matchup nightmare for other guys who are at the 4 position. So they're probably gonna be forced to take other players on their team. Y'all know how they switch up who's gonna guard who, but yeah, we'll see. And he's not a shooter anyway, so it's kind of like, but yeah, that could be interesting. But we ain't gonna talk basketball in this one. Let me read y'all one more comment here. We'll do Luis D. He's replying to Kenyon, I believe. And then I'll give y'all a quick story that I saw somebody sent me on Twitter. He says, Kenyon, right, yes, I understand that. But if you would have told me that the Steelers would score 42 points against the number 1 defense that year, I would have told you the Steelers moving on to the next round. Yeah, so I think you guys are probably talking about the playoff game there. Let me see. Kenya says, I'm realistic with Ben. He can be good and turbo. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I understand what you guys are saying. Kenya said, you're making my point. All right, so I think you guys are kind of debating about Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, Ben can be good and bad. And it's funny. See how the universe works? That's kind of where I'm going with the little story I want to tell y'all from Twitter. Let me look and see if the guy responded back to me. Because what he said to me kind of validates both points I think you guys are making. Let me see if he responded. Let me see if I can find it. And he might even be in the chat here. Because everybody's name is different on different platforms. Except for me. My name is the same everywhere. Just so you don't get it confused. No, I don't see that he responded back, or I may be overlooking it. But basically what he said was, why is everybody talking about Ben Roethlisberger in 2018, his numbers, his stats? He said, it's not like he was exceptional in 2018. So my reply back to him was, well, the only thing that I didn't like about Ben Roethlisberger in 2018 was his interceptions at 16. Y'all have heard me say that a million times. I don't like Ben Roethlisberger throwing double-digit interceptions. Outside of that, how was he not exceptional? That was my question to him. I don't think he responded. Let me look again, because if he did, I want to read whatever response he gave me. But as I'm looking for this, how was Ben Roethlisberger not exceptional in 2018 for him? I'm just talking about for him as a player. I mean, we're talking about the season when Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns. I get it. But Ben Roethlisberger led the league in passing it, 5,100 yards and 34 touchdowns. How is that not exceptional for Ben Roethlisberger? Yeah, he had the 16 picks, which, again, I scored him very low for that. Y'all have heard me say that repeatedly on this show. I don't see that he responded to my reply. And like I said, he might be here in the chat. But I don't get that. So I want him to respond, but I want to say, well, in your eyes, what is exceptional? Because to me, the only thing that you're doing is you're lowering the interceptions, obviously. But I want to see if he's going to say something like 40-plus touchdowns or 50. But when has Ben ever done that? So, and I'm not saying that he's saying that, but this is the point I like to make. We can't start comparing all these different players to each other. They're different. Ben Roethlisberger throwing 34 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, was a career high, as well as the yards. So how was that not exceptional? And how would you not enjoy that or be optimistic for people like myself who have said, yo, if we get 2018, Ben, with that defense of last year, and if that can come together in 2020, yeah, I'm optimistic about what these boys could do. So, I don't know. I don't know the point he's making. Like I said, he didn't respond yet. Let me briefly look through here and see if one of you guys may have been that guy. Because like I said, people's names are different on Twitter. Let's see. Right, Uncle Claude. That my exact question. All right, so I don't think he's in here. But yeah, how is that not exceptional for Ben? Lead the league in passing and throw your career best 34 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, which I believe was another career high. I think. But come on, man. How is that not an exceptional season for a Roethlisberger? That's all I got to say. But anyway, guys, it is time for me to roll. I'm at an hour and a minute, so I went a minute beyond what I wanted to do. I didn't think we would make it this long, but every time I say that, somehow we seem to continue to talk, and we keep it moving. But I want to say, guys, thank you for coming through. Of course, guys, I'm always going to remind you guys to do that right there, but not just that. Do this as well, okay? Subscribe, cut on your notifications, and hit that like button. Thumbs up. It does not hurt you to do it. I promise you won't feel anything by just clicking the like up. Thumbs up. Click. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's very fast and it don't hurt nothing. And outside of that, if you guys would like to donate, it's too late now in terms of ending the show. But shout outs again to my guy, Antoine Hill, for the donation. If you ever want to do that in a live show, guys, there's a $sign down in the bottom right corner. Have at it. If you're not familiar with it, ask somebody in the chat. They'll tell you. If you prefer to do it outside of YouTube, which a lot of you guys have done, again, round of applause and shout outs to you guys. You know who you are. PayPal is available. Cash App is available. The information is in the description. Outside of that, like I always do, I'm going to wish you guys well. Please be safe, guys. Be safe. Don't try to be a tough guy or a tough gal. Be safe. Be responsible. Not just for you, but for others. Okay? Because we don't want this whole pandemic thing to blow way out of control again, which it's on its way, but we don't want another situation where we all lock down again. Be responsible, man. Even if you don't believe in the mask, it doesn't hurt you to wear it. So be smart. Be safe. God bless. And good night. And thank you guys for tuning in to Turbo Towel Tuesday. Peace.